Okay. So welcome to this breakout session on gender and community. Gender and community. Few experts here who are from the genders sector and a few from whom we had contacted for the community theme. I am myself. I am and I am a program advisor with Frederick Ebert Shifting India office. Very briefly, and what we can do is, because I think again, gender and community are something which are at some level correlated. I can hear my voice, so someone will have to unmute themselves or mute themselves. Hmm? Okay, so our task basically here is to listen to a very short input by the experts first. We'll do that in some time. And then we have these Excel sheets, which Komal has put in the chat box. And you'll see that there are certain boxes here that needs to be filled in, because these Yin Yang sessions are specially designed for giving us solutions which can be, which will go into the climate actioners manual. So the task in hand is to think about these themes from the perspective of problems, threats, challenges, solutions, opportunities, stakeholders, changes to be made, what are the targets, what can the action is to. We'll try to cover them as much as possible, but I guess maybe we're not able to cover everything, but the crucial ones for sure. So with that, I would like to start. And I think like we did in the last Yin Yang session, we mixed the inputs a bit. So we can go alternative, gender, then someone from the community, and then gender, and like that. So let me begin with starting with say gender first, and I would like to invite Yagna Parmar from Vacha Trust to give the short input. Yagna is a project director at Vacha Charitable Trust, a very long-term partner and a very trusted also and crucial partner for FES, where we work on gender mainstreaming and also youth mainstreaming. She has contributed to the issues of women and girls for the last 14 years. Her dedication and hard work have resulted in her rising from a junior social worker to project director in Vacha, which is really inspiring. She's currently a director of Vacha Center for Women and Girls, a project of Vacha Charitable Trust. And she has developed a career fair program also for girls and youth from the deprived sections and conducted gender trainings with youth. Yagna, let's say 2-3 minutes and then later on. Yeah.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah. So thank you, Mandvi, for such a wonderful introduction. And we too enjoy the partnership with FES, and it's been an honor for us to remain connected with FES and to be part of any program of the FES. So thank you. Look, yes, so like I said, Mandvi has already given you all my introduction about very brief introduction about myself. And like I said, I have been working with Vacha for a long period. And Vacha, so today we will be discussing about gender and youth issues in the context of climate change. Vacha has been working with urban youth, especially adolescent girls, in the second decade of their life from 1996. Now, these youth are living in bastis and slums of Mumbai and Thane districts. Their participation in our girls' empowerment programs have enabled them to address various developmental issues in their bastis from the gender lens. Now, these issues where more or less these issues were poor garbage disposal systems, inadequate and unsafe toilets, water scarcity, food security, girls and women's safety. Now they have addressed this, the youth have been addressed these issues through surveys, holding photos and posters, exhibitions, working with community leaders, boys, forming support group of boys and other community stakeholders, community-based organizations, working with municipal authorities, writing various applications under Right to Information Act, and of course follow up with them. Now, when we talk about the climate change topic and the climate change and the youth, what we believe that if we take any developmental issues, so climate change is of course one of that issues. The gender overarches all kind of gender affects all the development, and gender overarches all the categories. So the people who are in a margins, be it a tribal communities or the disabled people, or even people living in rural areas. So whether it's a regional region, whether they are margins due to their regionality, due to their disability, due to their locations, any forms of, but genders overpowers all of them. So even when we consider the tribal population, the women and girls will be more affected by them. So they will be further marginalized apart from the other margins. So similar thing happens even in what we believe is in climate change as well. So what we are going to talk about during this entire session is what the climate change is. What is its impact? Where is it affecting more? Does it have any gender component? How one can address, especially youth, because we feel youth are not only the victims or a survivor of the climate change, but yes, but they could be an active agents of change for if invested properly. Then they could be an active agent of change for this very important issue. Now these are well-known fact, and from the UNDP report shows that 80% of the people most affected by the climate change are women. Now, because the reasons are because they are vulnerable to effects of climate change than men, because they constitute the majority of world's poor and are more dependent on their livelihoods on natural resources that are threatened due to the climate change. Women and girls are mainly responsible for gathering and producing food, collecting water, sourcing fuel for eating and cooking also. So along with so these are some of the tasks are assigned, because in our patriarchal societies, the women and girls has been given the tasks in such a manner that their tasks are revolved around these natural resources. So once anything happens in the climates and so its impact definitely affects the women and girls much more. Along with that, because of the patriarchal societies, they get very unequal access to resources. Their decision-making processes are curtailed, and their mobility is also curtailed. So this further affects their leadership and further marginalizes them. Now, girls have to travel longer distances to access adequate fuel, firewood, this especially happens in the rural area, firewood and animal dung or water supplies, leaving them with less time and energy for other activities, which can enrich their personal lives, such as getting education or engaging in leisure time. Now, so that remains, whether climate change is a gender neutral, it's a question. Due to existing inequalities, women and girls are disproportionately vulnerable to its impact, from disease to natural disasters. Very recent example, if we have to see, is the COVID-19 pandemic. So COVID-19 pandemic has affected much more to women and girls as compared to the other people in society. To give concrete examples, we have seen how climate change affects the poor since Vacha have worked more in urban areas. We have seen that how climate change affects the poor in urban cities like Mumbai. We have either too much of rain or very little. There is more flooding and the destruction of their homes, leading to loss in school days, more so much that girls who are very often have to stay back home to clean the house or to clean the house and to look after the family, and also stop from going to schools, citing concerns like safety or any other reasons, or even looking after their siblings. With gutter overflowing and manholes open, it is dangerous path. Very often they are vulnerable to, very often they are unable to save their precious documents like ration card, their school certificates, and that affects their education in future
Yagna,
life.
you'll need to wind up because
Yes, sure. And so, as mentioned earlier, water collection in urban areas too is problematic with limited taps in bastis, and the time and the flow of water distributed judiciously with more modern gadgets. It's wasteful consumption of water like washing machines, car wash, gardening, etc. that have to be judiciously used. We want to grow together. And as the youth can take a more proactive position and find ways of doing it. Young people are not only victims of climate change; they are also valuable contributors to the climate. They are entrepreneurs and innovators.
Can one of the volunteers confirm if she's here? Hello. Okay. Never
Hello,
mind.
ma'am.
Hanji, Komal is Vaijayanta
Actually,
in the
even
round?
I got kicked out. So can
Even I got kicked out for some reason.
sorry, ma'am. Repeat. Can you repeat again?
No problem. It's okay. I think I don't see her in the participants thing. If she joins, then we'll circle back to her later. Okay. I think I would like to invite now Hamari Jamatia. Is she here? I think I saw her.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi,
I just shut it.
Okay.
Sure.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, thank you.
So very quick introduction to Hamari. I'm saying it right?
Yes, sir.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Okay. She's the editor of Adivasi Lives Matter. We had a very an incredible presentation from a colleague of yours,
Ashish.
Ashish. It's a platform dedicated to building storytelling capacities among the Adivasis, tribals, indigenous communities across India. The initiative aims to bring focus to the lives, issues, and cultures of Adivasis whose stories do not get adequate representation. More than 150 youth have been trained to create these multimedia content and get their voices heard. She is a former journalist who has worked with the Indian Express, the Hindustan Times, and the Pioneer. She's also a research scholar who writes on Northeast India. Welcome, Hamari. Please.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mandvi.
2-3 minutes as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So my theme is community, but I would also like to say a few things about gender.
Absolutely.
That's because,
yes.
yeah. So let me just start with the community first. So with indigenous backbone. So any fight to or any attempt to tackle climate change has to have community resources and community acceptance of certain policies that are being made. In indigenous communities, there is the spirit of volunteerism that functions. So even now, in most societies, you will see that things like marriage or funerals or building something for the village is the contribution of labor comes from every family. So a marriage is never a one family's issue. A funeral is never the particular family's issue. In my village, for instance, I come from Totapara, which is in Tripura, and there is a stipulated amount that every family has to contribute. So suppose you have to contribute two baskets of logs in terms of a funeral. You have to contribute 5 kg of rice. So every family has a stipulated stipulated amount which they have to contribute. Inequalities are not that high, because if every family has the same quantity of rice to make for the funeral and wedding, if they have the same quantity of wood that they can burn in these ceremonies, it means that celebrations or mourning is not very amount of money. Talking about community, there is so much to learn from indigenous cultures. We still retain this community spirit in our day-to-day lives, especially in villages, not so much in urban areas anymore. In terms of gender, what I wanted to say was also that it is only, or mostly, let me say, because it's from my own experience of working and being an indigenous woman myself, that women in tribal communities, yes, they do suffer a lot, but they're also empowered in a lot of ways. So one of the few ways in which I am different from a lot of other women is that it's my birthright to have property. So every woman born in my community has equal rights on their father property, and it has been there for like a long time. So my mother, my aunts, my cousins, we all have equal rights over property, whether it belongs to my mother or whether it belongs to my father. So that wealth inequality is less. A boy is not going to be richer than me just by the fact that that person is a boy. Yeah. So these are just some of the things I wanted to say. And if you have any further questions, then we can take it forward.
Yeah. I think when we go into the solutions and putting all things down, I think we'll circle back to you. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I would now like to invite Jitendra Nayak. Jitendra. Hello. Is he here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Hi. Can you
Hi.
switch on your video?
Yes.
How to do that? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Jitendra is
Hi everyone.
good to see you. Jitendra is also from the gender theme. He is the head of Department School of Liberal Studies at Adivasi University. Completed his PhD from Monash and Masters from IIT Bombay. His interest and specialization areas are policy studies, technology and gender, corporate communication, research methodology, ICT, innovation pedagogy, Internet of Things. Jitendra, would you like to present your input, gender and tech?
Yeah, definitely. How much minutes I have? 3 to 5 minutes, I guess. Right?
I will give you 2, you take 3.
Okay. So I'll start quickly. Gender is a very sensitive topic, and I think even the 3 minutes will not be enough. But what I see that when we talk about the community engagement, or if we talk about the gender per se, technology is definitely helping as a way out, as an enabler. And this I'm just giving a case study from Kerala, which I did as a part of a research work. Like some of the districts, especially if we bring gender and religion also into perspective, like some of the religions are quite narrow in terms of the opportunities and rights and choices a women enjoy. So sometimes gender is a way to express your thoughts. And the moment you express your thoughts, it also provides an opportunity to express your choices. So women are using these technologies to express their thoughts. And even if I don't limit that gender definition just to the male and the female and express to other LGBTQ questions, they are also able to express their come up from their closet. So what I see and what I'm working currently right now, that how technology can help them to make better choices, express their opinions, and also to mitigate the challenges and issues. And related to this gender question only, we have started giving them legal services via small apps, where they can at least know some of the basic rights which they can enjoy. Even if you talk about filing a complaint, filing a normal official OC or FIR, or knowing what can be done if certain things happen within the four walls of the room, on the roads, at a workplace, or any other place. So this is something where this technology, because it is what we say, what we are doing right now, like people from different parts of India and world connected. Means we can express our information within a fraction of seconds, and the information is received. So I'll be sharing more on an offline mode or via email, and respecting the time of all the speakers and the moderator. This is just an idea which I have shared with all the people as volunteers, panelists, and experts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jitendra. Thank you so much. Like I said, when we get into the nitty-gritties, I think you can give us more ideas as to what solutions technology provide or what are the stakeholders. I'll come back.
Yeah.
I would like to know
Thank you.
Shweta Wagh. Hi, Shweta. Shweta, you'll have to unmute yourself. Here. Shweta. Okay, no problem. Yes. Sure.
Mandvi, I think Shweta is not
Huh.
co-host, so she may not be able to unmute herself, I think so.
Acha, then I would like one of the volunteers to address this, but I'll take up the next speaker and then Shweta can come in. Next speaker is Sumaira Abdulali. Hi, Sumaira.
Hi again.
Hi again.
I'm
I'm so glad we are in the same groups.
I'm really not the expert on everything under the sun. Please don't misunderstand. These are just my 2 bits.
No, but I'm, like I was saying, I'm so glad I'm in the groups where you are, because there's so much to learn from you. And even though you say that you're not an expert, your insights are full of expertise. So please, very briefly introducing Sumaira. I mean, she needs no introduction. She is a multi-award winning environmentalist who's especially known for her work against noise pollution and other under-recognized health hazards, like sand mining. She's been one of the active voices, who's been talking about that, and also making the connection of all these under-recognized issues with climate change. Sumaira, your inputs on gender and community.
Well, I've just been part of another group
Hello.
on the side while this is going on. Someone who called me cho-tweet in public. So I just like to talk about, gender in particular, that we are all professionals here. And we believe that we should be taken as professionals on an equal footing. And I think we need to start from there, that just because somebody is a man, calling somebody cho-tweet in an international, if this was the US, it would be a major, major scandal. You cannot call a woman cho-tweet publicly. And so I'd just like to start from there and talk about, because this group encompasses both community as well as gender, that gender and community are very rightly tied together, not only for the reasons which were mentioned earlier, which is that women are more vulnerable to direct effects, which of course they are, but because they face these kind of problems in working and doing anything at all and making themselves heard professionally. I know that this is something which is known in industry and in other spheres, shall we say, where breaking the glass ceiling, when Hillary Clinton stood for vice president, at least part of what was against her was that she was a woman. And it's happened again and again in all through. But even in the NGO space, in climate change, in areas like this, where women are most affected, we are still called cho-tweet. And I'm no longer 18 years old, it's not acceptable even to my daughter. And my daughter is much more militant than me on something like this. In fact, I have learned from her. So I'd just like to say that women have been leading this area of climate change, of NGOs all over the world and in India. They have been leading the sector in many ways, and yet we have to succumb to or listen to this and not defend ourselves. And even other women don't defend us because they feel that we should be competing equally. Yes, we should be competing equally and not with this kind of thing looking downward. So I think that's all I'd like to say. I mean, I'm a little bit angry, so I haven't quite said what I wanted to say, but I think it's quite relevant.
No, but your anger is well taken, and I think all of us is working or not working, we do face these kind of patronizing and belittling behavior, and it's not okay at all. And I think it is important to voice it that it is not okay. It might not come into the bigger domains of sexual harassment or whatever, but it is definitely not okay. Thank you so much, Sumaira.
Thank you.
And okay, so we would now like to have Shweta. I don't know if she could go into the main room and join again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't need to go to the main room then. Huh?
No, this is absolutely fine. Can you?
Yeah,
Yes, hi. I can see you. Hi, Shweta. So nice to see you.
Yeah, after a long time.
Yes, a very long time. Shweta is an associate professor at the Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute of Agriculture and Environment, Tripura, Mumbai. Architecture and Environment, sorry. That's it. Sorry. Trivia, Mumbai. Her interest lies in coastal commons, indigenous rights, artistic teaching, environmental policy and discourse, conservation philosophy, urban sociology, and political ecology. I'm myself a fan of her work, and I'm so glad that you could join us today. 2 minutes for your interview.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. So I guess I think the topic that I was told to speak about was climate change and community.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be one of the most, it's going to be a thing which we really should be concerned about, because
Shweta, sorry. You need to speak a little louder.
Yeah. No, I think this is an issue that we really need to be concerned about, especially in the coming years, because looking at the past history of, planning and, even the way projects are conceived, imagined and implemented, and how communities are completely, they have been marginalized and left out of this planning and decision-making process, and the kind of range of impacts this has on communities. So I think that is one thing that we need to be concerned about. Also, apart from the direct risks and vulnerabilities that communities face because of climate change, there is sea level rise. Mumbai is a coastal city. We have a lot of areas which are reclaimed and low-lying areas, and at the rate at which we have urban development and concretization, the city is going to face impacts of climate change, and very severe impacts in the coming years, especially with large areas of the city and especially marginalized communities being vulnerable to flooding. Apart from that, there will be other kinds of impacts which might affect particular communities, like the fisher communities, with unavailability of adequate fish catch, etc., because of rise in temperatures. But I think that apart from just looking at the impacts of climate change on communities, one needs to also be concerned about how the government is responding to climate change, what are the actions it is taking. And so far, the government approach has been, to implement more projects, for adaptation to climate change and vulnerabilities. So in a sense, I was last year I was at a climate resilience conference organized by one of the civil society and NGO groups in the city, and where there were a lot of people invited. of financially viable. And one of the things that came out in that conversation was that the coastal road project, which is being built, the sea wall that is being constructed for the coastal road, is itself, that is a kind of a sea wall that will protect the city from impacts of flooding. So I think one needs to be a little wary of the government narrative, in terms of how certain actions are justified and the length that they would go through to kind of push through some kind of technocratic or kind of large infrastructure project, even under the guise of renaming it as a kind of a strategy for climate change mitigation. In fact, one knows very well that the coastal road project is going to increase emissions. The excess of reclamation, the large extent of reclamation is actually going to increase flooding impacts elsewhere in the city. It has directly impacted the livelihoods of fisher communities. Even today, as we are, attending this conference here, the fisher community in Worli, they have in fact stopped the work on the coastal road. They have, cleared out the jetty. They have, they're preventing the contractors' boats from starting the work on the coastal road interchange. In fact, they have started this protest, which is, ongoing for the last 15 days. And interestingly, in the last 3 years that we've been a part of this struggle, I've been a part of this struggle with them as a petitioner, also as a researcher. And I feel that the government did not have a single meeting with the community. There was no engagement with the community prior to the planning of the project. For the last 3 years, there have been no meetings. Multiple letters were written to various government authorities on this issue, especially related to the access of communities to their fishing grounds, which is going to be cut off by the new interchange that they're constructing, because the distance between the pillars is too narrow. And even last year, we knew that eventually the work on the interchange will start in October. There have been letters that have been written since 2018, but there have been field letters written since last year to all the government officials, even Aditya Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray, and they have not taken any cognizance of this fact. So I think it is a little interesting how our politicians, they go abroad and they win awards for the climate change mitigation adaptation measures that they're going through, and there is absolutely no concern for the interests of communities or the communities who are actually going to be impacted by these.
Okay. Thank you, Shweta.
Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. No, I think this is also again a very important point, and we are glad that you could also bring in the voices or concerns of this community into the discussion. Now we have, I think, 15 or so minutes and 20 or so participants, and I would like to do like a very quick lightning round with all of us. So if one of the volunteers could help in writing down in the Excel sheet. Komal or Hitesh?
Yes. So the links are in the chat. If you want me to send them again?
No, that's all right. The links are in the chat. What how we'll do this is that I'll call out names and give me, each one of you give me like one challenge, one opportunity. Be very brief because we have little time. One challenge, one opportunity, and one stakeholder that has to be engaged with. And in the meantime, if other people have any ideas, please go on the link, and also you're free to write it there as well in the meantime. Yeah.
I'm sure I can help fill up the forms.
Yeah, thank you, Apurva. Please fill in the people. All of us also have the rights to fill in now. So anyone can, in the meantime, wants to fill in, they can also.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. So I'll, like I said last time, I will start bottom up. And okay, I have Shweta in my list. So Shweta, very quickly, one challenge that maybe you want to cover apart from your input, one challenge, one opportunity, and one stakeholder.
Okay, so what exactly am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to fill in the Excel?
No, just tell me. They're recording. Someone will type down. but free to write if they want to write. Otherwise, we'll do the round in any case. So.
Okay, so I'll just think about it. Could someone go before me?
Sure. Okay. I would ask then Raj Kanodia.
Yeah, hello. This is
Hi.
Raj. Hi. मैं इतना ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि मैंने काफी लोगों को सुना एंड आई एम वेरी ग्लैड टू हियर. मैं चाहता हूँ इस जेंडर एंड कम्युनिटी में you guys can add also LGBTIQ plus community because in this lockdown they people affected more than other community because they don't have to survive करने के लिए उनके पास जॉब नहीं था, रहने के लिए घर नहीं था, उनके लिए मेडिसिन के लिए पैसे नहीं थे. They can't bake and they don't have the groceries and at all. And ये सारी चीजें कहीं ना कहीं अगर इन्वायरमेंट को अगर अफेक्ट कर रही हैं तो उनको भी अफेक्ट कर रही है. और हमको उनको कहीं ना कहीं अब ये टाइम है कि उनको इसमें ऐड किया जाए, उनको इन्फॉर्म किया जाए, उनको टीच किया जाए कि हाउ यू कैन सेव योर इन्वायरमेंट, योर नेचर, और वो किस तरीके से आपको इफेक्ट करता है. तो कहीं ना कहीं हमको ये पॉइंट ऐड करना चाहिए उसमें.
बिल्कुल, आप बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हो. तो किसी तरह का एक सॉल्यूशन आपको, जैसे आपके पास कोई है इंडिविजुअल लेवल के लिए कोई सॉल्यूशन या सामाजिक कोई ऐसा एक सॉल्यूशन आप बता सकते हो समाज जो
LGBTIQ जो हमारा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है दी हमसफर ट्रस्ट, हम पूरे सोसाइटी में सेंसिटाइजेशन वर्कशॉप करते हैं LGBT प्लस को लेकर, ताकि उनको सोसाइटी में जॉब मिले, उनका जो लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड है वो एक स्टेबल लाइफ आए. तो उनको बहुत तरीके की स्किल बिल्डिंग डेवलप भी देते हैं. अगर हम उसमें अगर ये नेचर को किस तरीके से सेव किया जाए और हम किस तरीके से गार्डनिंग कर सकते हैं या तो प्लांटेशंस कर सकते हैं, अगर इस तरीके का उनको एक स्किल बिल्डिंग दिया जा सके तो एक जॉब प्रोवाइडेंस भी हो सकता है. जैसे कि गार्डन्स बहुत सारे लोग ओपन कर, नर्सरी बहुत सारे लोग ओपन करके रखते हैं. सो हाँ, तो उस तरीके का उनको इन्फॉर्मेशन दिया जाए ताकि वो जाके सोसाइटीज में अदर्स कम्युनिटी को भी ट्रेन कर सके या टीच कर सके कि हाउ यू कैन सेव द नेचर एंड व्हाट इज द ग्लोबल वार्मिंग, हाउ दिस इज अफेक्टेड टू अस एंड हमारे आने वाले जनरेशन को भी किस तरीके से अफेक्ट करता है. अगर ये सारी चीजें हम अगर उनको बताएं और उनको हम अपने इस जर्नी में उनको ऐड करें तो वो आगे जाके भी लार्जर नंबर पे हम काफी मतलब सेंसिटाइज कर सकते हैं लोगों को इस मुद्दे पे लेकर. या
बिल्कुल. और आप एक और कोई ऐसा स्टेक होल्डर का बताना चाहोगे जो कि जैसे कि LGBTIQ एक कम्युनिटी हो गई, उनको तो हमको आप बोल रहे हैं कि करना ही करना है, पर बाकी कोई एक ऐसा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेक होल्डर जो आपको लगता हो कि अगर इनको हम इनके प्रति आउटरीच करेंगे तो काम जल्दी आगे बढ़ेगा या ज्यादा बड़े स्केल पे आगे बढ़ेगा.
जिस तरीके से गवर्नमेंट और आजकल के यूथ जो है वो LGBTIQ को समझ रहे हैं, उनके सिचुएशंस और प्रॉब्लम को समझ रहे हैं, वो हर जगह जगह पे उनके लिए वर्कशॉप या सेशन वगैरह करते रहते हैं. तो अगर हम इस तरीके के स्टेक होल्डर जैसे कि कॉलेजेस हो गए या तो गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर्स हो गए या तो कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर हो गए जो LGBT के लिए वर्क कर रहे हैं, तो अगर हम उसमें ये पॉइंट ऐड ऑन करते हैं नेचर वाला, सो वो साथ साथ में ही वो काम हो जाएगा. सो हमको कुछ इतना और ज्यादा ये करना नहीं पड़ेगा, सिर्फ हमको नेचर के लिए उनको ट्रेन करना पड़ेगा कि क्या होता है, कैसे होता है, क्यों इफेक्ट होता है, हाउ दे इफेक्ट टू यू एंड योर जनरेशन.
हाँ, ठीक है. Thank you so much, Raj.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then next is Rahul.
Hi. Morning. It's just that, I just to give a bit of introduction about me is that I am a PhD student at Cambridge and I have been working on resilience and looking into how we can, address ecological resilience, basically socio-ecological resilience. And the problem I faced when I was interviewing for my research is that only 4 women came out of 40, who came ahead and, gave me interviews. So I face this problem. Now there is no issue. Like I did this research in India, but what of my understanding is that women are reluctant to come ahead. I don't know. There was no kind of stopping them from from men or from of the house, but I could understand why they are not able to come ahead and speak out their mind, because resilience, when you are talking about resilience, we need to understand both genders and what they think, and then we can address the climate change or biodiversity issues. uh, so this is my understanding, but it has been difficult for me to get the women speaking, especially in rural India. I'm not talking about the urban areas, but this is what I yeah, faced firsthand. And I tried my best to get as many women as I can, but out of 40, only four came ahead. Like 40 interviews I did, and only four interviews of women. And that too, I mean, they were good, but it was an issue.
Yeah. No, I can understand. Usually there is an initial hesitancy, na? So one has to start building trust
Yes,
from some, you have to make inroads using some
yes,
issue, and then they open up. So, and it's not like men were not stopping, so women not speaking. But in my experience so far, and also there is Yagna and Nishtend and other experts on gender, I can also tell you that it's also, the years and years of socialization that
maybe, yeah.
don't
But
see
how
it
do I
here.
do
It's
that
not a very
now?
event specific thing, but because for generations you have been trained like that. So
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 it kind of
there
showed
are
bias. So, and the stakeholders, if you talk about the stakeholders, like what another observation I made was the local community stakeholders that I look at, governance systems or agencies. There are hardly any women in the group. I did question them, why are there no women? Like, at least a representation, like one, if there are six people, at least couple of them. One answer that I got, like, of course, there are varied answers which were common, but one answer that got, like, women don't come forward and don't want to
that's
contribute.
a standard.
Yeah. So, so it was difficult for me because, like, there is no representation as such complete representation as such. Yeah.
So that's also, it's a systemic problem as well. As I see Yagna has raised her hand. She's itching to respond to you.
Please, yes, I would like to
Yagna,
hear.
you'll have to be very quick because I really want to get everyone's voices here.
Yeah. I just want to add one point that like when we are talking about the women representations, what I believe that, and our experiences have shown that when we invest early in the life, like invest in the girls, so when empowerment process starts early in the second decade of their life, the impact sustains. So by that time, their decision making, because that entire period is very crucial for socializations. So when that time, if any girls leadership programs and gender trainings are given, then there is a possibility that they become a stronger women in the coming future and are in a better position to negotiate and address any issues. So that one point I wanted.
Yes, very valid point. Thank you, Yagna.
Sorry, very, very quickly, I just wanted to ask is, like, any ideas or thoughts on feminist ecology? Anyone?
Anyone here on feminist ecology? I mean, we can actually, if you us your email ID or something, we can get you in touch with the
Sure. I will.
right
Yeah,
people. Yeah.
thanks anyways. I won't take much time. Thank you.
Thank you. Nischint?
Well, to continue, like what Yagna says, it's also that when you start with them with separate groups, girls separate and boys separate, and once they are more prepared, then they are obviously ask for their space. So that is one thing we have tried out. It has worked, that there are separate spaces for them. And plus the very fact that the girls are allowed to, basically in the Indian situation, you are not even allowed to question. Girls are not even allowed to ask questions. So they have been, that is the thing. The socialization is such that you're not allowed to question. So they feel why. And then another thing is even the timings. If the meetings of even the panchayat and all are held late in the evening or something where women can't go, they're busy in the housework. So those type of things also make a difference where women's representation is less. That has been seen in many places when they change meeting timings or they have planned it in such a way that it can happen when women can attend. it makes a difference.
Yeah. Give me a
Keeping those
stakeholder,
things in mind.
one stakeholder, important stakeholder who's been left out but needs to be integrated.
Who's you asking? Who?
You,
Dheeraj?
no, I'm asking you. I'm asking you, Nishchin.
Okay, yeah, all the major stakeholders would be even the family, the mothers.
Okay. Okay. So family is one stakeholder. Okay. Next. You, Julia.
Thank you. I would say an opportunity for increased representation of diverse groups, like on all levels, like from the community to like international level, is that we actually understand the problems. I mean, we just saw it with the question that came from Rahul, I think. It's like if we have more people being invited and able to speak from the beginning, then we also understand what are the problems holding them back. And a challenge, I mean, there are so many challenges to that, but the challenge is the ones in power not reflecting on their privilege, I would say. And also, like for Rahul, it was like, I don't want to be personally at all. I just want to give that example that he just used this opportunity to ask for his own gender. That's a privilege he was using, right? And is he aware of that or not? And important stakeholders are both like the people who are in positions of privilege that need to reflect on themselves, and then I think key advocates from the communities who are like the four fighters to make some space for those to come.
Yes. Thank you, Julia. Jitendra, you want to add to your point said earlier and very quickly in one line?
Yeah, definitely. So listening from other speakers, what I understood that one important aspect is creating awareness, and it can be at any level and any aspect of the society, what you're talking about. So the important stakeholder, which I think which can be included is obviously the family, to keeping them and making them aware, and especially a sort of a training to the mothers, working mothers or homemaker, if I say so. And apart from that, I want that technology because as an enabler and a facilitator in all walks of life. And one of the panelists, a friend, talked about that LGBTIQ question. So when I relocated to Kolkata, I heard that this area, the prostitution and other, what is referred as the Sonagachi area, has been the highest. And then we talk about their environment. Sometimes it's a stigma to talk to them the way the society has built it. But I think they can also be brought into the main, limelight, where their contribution can also be considered. So this is something which I'm trying to get in touch with someone who can facilitate as an entry point to do certain work there. So this is the only task.
I think Hamsafar Trust is here. You should get connected with them and seek their advice.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jitendra. I also think that if one is trying to involve mothers, then we should also involve fathers.
Exactly. When we talk about feminism, and somebody asked about feminist ecology, and I teach one paper on feminism. So it's all about creating an opportunity rather than a competition.
Yeah.
So even the understanding of the word feminism and the idea of femininity and the movement of first wave or second or third wave, most of them are stuck in the first wave, and they don't even relate to the fifth wave of feminism.
Yeah.
So this is also we need to understand both from the girls' perspective and the men's perspective. So definitely the two sides of the coin will be important to complete and make it a coin. So that's important.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jitendra. Anjali Siroya.
Yeah, hi. Hello everyone. My name is Anjali and I am a trans woman. Me and Raj, we both work together only, so I won't take much time. Raj has mostly highlighted the issues faced by the communities, mostly in the COVID pandemic, and the community still continues to face the issue. Just answering to the question of Manvi, what she asked about the stakeholder, I guess the major stakeholder should be the people talking in this forum and also at various forum, because you people talk about issues related to gender and how it impacts various aspects of our lives. So I guess we are the major stakeholder, because even today when we are talking about genders and issues related to that, we tend to forget different communities that are there, because gender is not just binary. And even today while discussing, we are only highlighting upon issues faced by mostly women, and
women.
We have the aspect of gender as a binary. So unintentionally we forget, we become ignorant towards other communities which are under the gender spectrum. So we as a community over here who are talking at various forum, international or national, if we bring this aspect of gender being beyond binary, then the communities who get invisibilized in a way, their voices could be heard, because we all talk to different stakeholders. So rather than identifying one, we all going to different stakeholder, we can be the major stakeholder taking the issues ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Anjali. I think this is a very important mirror that you showed to us. And also, yeah, our effort is to be as inclusive as possible. But yes, wo in general speaking, वो men, women, ये सब हो ही जाता है. So thank you so much.